So what are we? We're about
13
2 weeks,
days?
just less than 2 weeks away.
No, 12 days. Because it's on a Wednesday, isn't it?
Well, just less than 2 weeks away, right, from the final now in Bilbao against Manchester United. We've got Crystal Palace this weekend. We've got Villa next week, Friday. What are your kind of initial thoughts going into that? Because it's against a Manchester United team who have been just as bad as Spurs this season in the Premier League. However, you're looking at United and you're looking at the way they've gone about, because we've both been really impressive, right, in the last 2 rounds, but in very different ways. Because United got, they were down and out, weren't they, against Lyon? They got through somehow in those last few minutes, scoring 3 goals in the last couple of minutes of extra time. Just mad. And then Bilbao, nobody gave them a hope in hell against Bilbao. And what was it, 7-1 over the 2 legs? And I think, maybe it puts gloss on actually how they performed over those 2 legs, the mammoth of the victory. But you've still got to say, very impressive to do what they've done against a Bilbao team who were gunning for that trophy, home final and all that kind of stuff. And Spurs, on the other hand, have had 2 very professional kind of ties. Once against Frankfurt, where, we did very, very well, particularly away from home. And at home, we probably should have scored more goals than we did, but still played the better of the teams over both legs by far, in my opinion. And in Bodo, again, better of the 2 teams by far over 2 legs, and defensively very solid, like very uncharacteristic maybe of Spurs, what we've seen this season, very defensively sound and just getting the job done with minimal fuss. So, I mean, with the 2 narratives of and the way the 2 teams have got there at this moment in time, what are you thinking?
Look, I'm confident we can beat them 100%. I know Man United. Credit to them for getting to the final as well. They deserve to be there. Also beat Sociedad, who got, remember, the round of 16 pretty comfortably. It has been an interesting quirk of their run, though, the fact that in each round they faced an opposition who've had a man sent off, which has ultimately been very crucial, I think, in each round to how they've gotten through. But look, you can only play what's in front of you, and those teams, got those men sent off, and you still got to take advantage of it, and they have, and every step of the way. I still feel like what I've seen from Tottenham when we've had our best team out in these last few weeks, we just seem to be a lot more controlled, disciplined, and I think we just look a lot, but much more of a team. I think United still seem that little bit more chaotic, especially that Lyon tie. Very lucky to kind of get through that tie. They needed 3 goals in 7 minutes to do it, and then credit to them, they did it. Unbelievable, and it was a crazy night. But that tie was very chaotic. They even conceded 2 goals against 10 men that's why they needed 3. Bilbao, unbelievable to beat them 7-1. I don't think it tells the full story of both ties, but they in that first leg, they were massively under the cosh. They should have been 1 or 2 down probably before Casemiro kind of scored against the run of play.
But the red changed the whole
and
tie.
The red, it was a red and penalty, and it completely changed the tie. And but fair to them, United took full advantage and won the game 3-0, and fair play to them. Second leg, no Nico, no Inaki, their best 2 forwards are out. Even in that context, for about an hour, I was listening to a few United fans break down the game. For the first hour of the game, they were very much second best. Bilbao took the lead. I don't know if Bilbao had chances to make it 2 or 3, but definitely Bilbao's team were, the better team. Then, with 20 minutes to go, United get that killer goal, and then Bilbao just kind of collapse, and United end up scoring 3 late goals to put a bit of gloss on the scoreline. But again, you got to take advantage of that situation. You got to put the game to bed, and they did, and they took advantage of Bilbao collapsing. And Bilbao are still a good team, so to beat them by that margin is impressive, but doesn't, I think, tell the full story. I think if you look at that and you just think that United were just like, I guess they did blow them away. Fair play to them, but I don't think it tells the full context of what happened over both legs. But they definitely deserve to win, and they definitely deserve to go through. And they were the better team over both legs, so fair play to Man United. But the way I'm seeing us play in these ties, the way we're limiting the opposition, the way we're when we need to go forward, we've still got that quality, and we're looking dangerous. And I think we're looking a little bit more of a settled team at the moment when we've got our best 11 out there. And the fact we've beaten them 3 times already this season in the Premier League, we know how to play against them. And as well, I think
have a psychological edge.
I think so. I'd like to hope so, and I think as well, United very much were struggling against teams who do kind of press them high and hound them and restrict them a lot. And I think if we can do that, we can physically overwhelm them. Then that could be a massive thing in our favour going into that final. And as much as look, United are definitely a better outfit maybe than what we're facing when we played them in those last 3 games. I think that's fair to say. I still think we got the edge over them. I really do, and I think we've got an unbelievable opportunity. Obviously, when you look at psychologically, though, Man United have been in finals in recent years. They won a final last year. They won a final the year before.
That's what I'm worried about.
So they have experience going into these finals, and but I think during this Europa League run, we've been battling against these kind of psychological battles throughout these knockout stages. And I think this team have been so battered and bruised this season in terms of defeats in the league and criticism and people not being happy with them and pelters online, all these different things. I guess same with them, but the way we've come through it and the way we've got to this point where we're in a European final, I think they're not going to be fearing anyone. They can probably feel like they can take on the world, and I do feel, as much as United have done well to get to this point, I still think when we've got our first choice 11, and from what I've seen from the knockout rounds, I still think we got the edge. And I think defensively, we're a much tighter unit now than we were a few weeks ago, and I think people don't give us credit for that.
Yeah, I do agree to a certain extent, and I do feel like we probably have a bit of an edge in the tie, albeit I do think it's like very minimal. I think it's very much an even game going into it, and I don't think either side are favourites. I think it's literally a 50-50 in my opinion. Spurs against Manchester United in this cup. Just the thing that worries me is just the thing that you mentioned before is right. This is Manchester United, and they just seem to find a way to win trophies. Even in their worst moment, the last 2 seasons, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, beating some top. They beat Man City last season in the FA Cup final when nobody gave them a chance. So their fans are going to come into it full of confidence just because of that.
Is there any aspect though in the sense that this means more to Tottenham in terms of the rhetoric that both managers have been putting out about this tournament? Amorim saying, regardless what happens in this tournament, we've had a bad season and this isn't going to save the season and it's just like an extra thing to try and get into the Champions League through the back door, is essentially what he's been saying. Whereas Ange basically is putting out the message, this means everything. This would be monumental for this football club. This is basically what I was brought in to try and do, is get a trophy for this football club. This club needs a trophy, and we've been, it's been on a barren run for so long. And United, as much as it would be amazing to win a Europa League, in the context of their history or even recent history, it's not like the be all and end all. It's not the biggest trophy that this club would want to win. And like for Tottenham, like our first European trophy in 40 years, like. This would mean just that much more. Maybe that could lead us to wanting it more on the day.
When did United last win Europa League? Because they won it not that long ago.
They won it under Mourinho in 2017.
With Zlatan and Rooney and them lot.
2017 under Mourinho.
So it's actually not that long ago they won it. But I agree with you. Everything you just said there is true. It does mean a lot more to us, particularly the fans. To go and win this trophy, it means a hell of a lot more to us than it does to them. However, that can work for you and that can work against you. That can work against you in terms of, shitting the bed on the day, coming into it with a lot of nerves, a lot riding on it. And maybe United will be a bit more freer. But look, I think when it comes down to it on the day, it's going to mean a hell of a lot to both clubs and it's going to mean the world. And it's the only thing that can save both of our seasons. And even with United, it means a hell of a lot to them this season to get back into that Champions League for next season, to pretty much save their season. Because, if they're in the Champions League next season, Nobody's gonna think back to Manchester United and think where they finished. Ruben Amorim only came in halfway through the season.
The funny thing is to the fans and the club, in a weird way, it's probably more important for Tottenham. But in terms of like the future of the clubs, you could argue it's probably more important for Man United in terms of the financial trouble they're in, and laying off staff, and in terms of.
Well, you say that, but I mean, Spurs are saying they need to sell to buy and all this kind of stuff, and we can't buy players.
Well,
and
there's a few journalists.
Financials are saying that it's not great.
But we are in a much better financial position than Man United. Like I think. In terms of the financial future, we know that Man United, first of all, are looking to like get on that journey of doing the new stadium. We know that they've been laying off staff because they can't afford to keep on all the staff they've had. We know that Amorim needs a massive overhaul of that squad if he wants to basically get that squad ready to play his way of playing, and he's going to need a lot of signings, whereas Tottenham have got all these youngsters in place. Financially, we've got events and all these different things which puts us in a much better position, especially from PSR and all that kind of stuff. So when you're looking at it from that point of view, you could definitely make an argument that it's going to be massive for it was more important in a way that Man United win that trophy for the money than it is for Tottenham from a financial perspective. I think you could probably argue.
Yeah, from that perspective, yeah, you're probably right there. But I think like the way you got to look at it is probably what it means to the actual club and the fans, and you know the narrative surrounding everything, with Spurs not winning a trophy for so long, particularly European trophies since 1984. Man U seeming even in their worst times can win trophies back to back seasons when they've been absolutely terrible. So I mean, look, for different reasons, it's obviously massive for both clubs. And it's just,
has there ever been a proper do or die Europa League like this? I just can't remember. Because even when I remember when Arsenal played Chelsea, Chelsea were already in the Champions League. It was pretty do or die for Arsenal, but not really for Chelsea.
Yeah.
But like for both clubs, it's literally like whoever loses is winner takes all. It's mad.
And also the game is completely on a knife edge. Like you remember in the last couple of cup finals that we played in, the Man City one, the Liverpool one, those were our two last cup finals, right?
Yeah,
Carabao. We were massive, heavy underdogs for both those cup finals. Liverpool, what did they just get like 94 points in the season or something?
They've just finished second. City, but they had 97, I think. They had,
yeah. So you know what I mean? They got a crazy amount. We were massive underdogs going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Man City in COVID, they were obviously champions at the time, I think. And
even when we won the Carabao, we were probably calling
Chelsea. Yeah, we were massive underdogs then. But I'm talking about these two in specific because even in that Man City one, we've just lost Jose Mourinho. We're going into it with Ryan Mason against Pep Guardiola. Like, you know, we were 9 times out of 10 we were never going to win that final. Let's be real, or even probably 99 out of 100. But this one, we're pretty much going into it very even. I don't think, if you probably look at the odds, and I haven't looked at them, but if you probably look into it, I'll probably say United are maybe slight favourites with the bookies. But there's not much in it whatsoever. So it's literally, in my opinion, this is a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, and it's, I think as well, between now and the game, it's going to be crucial in terms of who, if either team picking up injuries, like if Bruno was to pick up an injury or something, and for us, if I guess if Romero or Van de Ven was to pick up an injury, how big that would be going into that final.
Yeah,
I think.
How do you manage these next two games then?
Yeah, I know.
Do you not play Romero and Van de Ven at all? Do you want to see them play a few minutes just to keep up that match practice and stuff like that? Like
maybe a half. I don't know.
How do you manage this period, these next 10 days?
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult. And as well, like there's a serious conversation to be had about Kulusevski, because Bergvall and Maddison obviously won't be there for the final. We need a creative player in the middle there, but Kulusevski, I thought he was the poorest player on the park yesterday.
Yeah,
last night.
Yeah, probably.
And it's been like that since he's been back from injury. So, do we keep persisting with him and try and play him into form over these next two games? And I don't know, which way do we go with it all?
Yeah, I think you play him. You keep playing him to try and get him back into form, I think, instead of resting him and wrapping him in cotton wool, because I think he needs to go into that final with some sort of good form, with some sort of good performance behind him, because since he's come back from injury, we haven't seen Decky as good as we know he can be. And yesterday was more evidence of that. He just seems off it physically. He's not keeping the ball well. He's making bad decisions. I think he's getting like ever so slightly better, but it's so small that it's hard to give him praise for it.
I can't think. I didn't see anything. I mean, maybe it was because of my state I was in, but every time I saw Kulusevski, it seemed like he was just getting easily shoved off the ball last night.
He was, most of the time. There are a few things he did quite well. There was one moment in the second half where he pounced really well on a pressing moment, and then played Richarlison through on goal, and Richarlison didn't take the most of it. So there was a couple of moments like that where it was quite good. He ended up, obviously, I don't know how much praise you'll give him for it, but he did end up getting an assist for Porro's goal.
What an assist that was.
Unbelievable. The way he played into Porro's path.
That was even better than Tom Carroll's for Gareth Bale.
Exactly. But yeah, I think he needs to keep playing him, because I think he's only going to get better with more game time, you'd hope.
I'll tell you players that we can wrap in cotton wool, which I don't think literally have no minutes leading up to it, maybe a few minutes here and there, is Pedro Porro, because he's played so much football this season. I don't think it should affect him. And by the way, how good has Pedro Porro been over these last couple of weeks? Like, last night I thought he was immense. Anna Doggy, immense.
That whole back line,
Yeah, I mean, that... I say probably you want to start these next 2 games probably with a similar lineup to what we saw against last time out. Who did we play in the league last time out? West Ham.
West Ham.
You know, similar teams to that. And in both games against Villa and against Palace, maybe just start 1 or 2 others that might start the final.
Yeah, and just keep some of them ticking over that need it. But also, there's definitely a case for Tel and Odebear. Like their places, for me, are very much up for grabs. I don't think those places are nailed on by any stretch in the final. You know what I mean? So I think
I wouldn't want to see Richarlison. I just don't know. I'm not into this whole Richarlison thing on the left-hand side.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So I'm saying Tel and Odebear.
I think it should be Tel or Sonny. I mean, we're hearing rumours Sonny could be back this weekend.
Yeah, we need him to get him some game time as well. But my point is, they should start with the intention that their places are very much up for grabs. So they could very much get a place in that final team if they play good games in these next couple games. So I think they'll probably play, and hopefully that sparks them. The problem is in midfield because we don't have many options really. We kind of have to play one of Bentancur, Basuma, and
I think
Decky
they
really.
both have to play.
Well,
You're talking about the weekday games. Well, Sarr will come
I'm
in
saying there's Sarr, but apart from him, who else can really, one of
Gray.
Yeah, but he's going to have to play fullback.
Yeah.
So it's one of...
Unless in the league you play a Davis at left back, but he's going to be needed at centre back. Well, you got Danso there. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. In midfield, you're probably going to have to play one of... You're going to have to play Decky, probably, and you're going to have to play one of Bentancur, Basuma with Sarr. Unless he goes inventive.
Play one of the games Bentancur, one of the games Basuma.
Something like that,
Keep Gray and Sarr in there for both games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. And maybe, they all play 45 in both games.
Look, to be fair, I know we haven't been getting the results in the Premier League and the performances have not been good. But I think in terms of his managing the squad leading up to these Europa League games, I think he's doing a fairly good job.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's hard to disagree when you see the performances and how we've been doing in the Europa League, Done very well in the quarters and the semi-finals. So it's hard to discredit what he's done in this latter stages of the
he's been very deliberate
of the season. Yeah, it has been. It's clear it has been.
And even when you hear his speech after the game, great speech by the way. I think he's gotten everyone so pumped up that after the game speech in the dressing room. But he literally says it. He's literally not hiding it. These next 2 games are to get ready for that final.
Yeah,
he said it there for all to see.
100%. But it's a good point that MM makes. This is the point I made before West Ham. Play Reguilon in the league now.
Yeah, why not? I don't. Yeah, sure.
It should
and
be.
then
why not?
Reguilon, Davis,
Spence and Reguilon at fullbacks,
and then Gray midfield.
We're gonna need to use everyone. We need everyone to be fit for the Europa League. We can't make any kind of. We just have to wrap people in cotton wool now. This is just where we're at. This is a European final we're talking about. It's not a quarter-final anymore or a semi-final, and they're big in their own right. This is literally do or die now. One game till a trophy.
Someone says get Timo involved.
Get Timo back in. Why not?
Get them all. Get Scarlett. I'm surprised because Solanke played 90 minutes yesterday. I was very surprised about that. That was one thing I was worried about before the game because playing with Richarlison and Solanke from the start. Are we going to end the game with neither of them on the pitch? But Solanke played 90 minutes and he didn't. Well, he looked fine.
We had that debate, didn't we, about telling Richarlison out on the left hand.
Well, we
side.
thought Richarlison wasn't fit, didn't we?
Yeah.
That turned out
I mean, I always thought though, if Richarlison was fit, he was always going to start that game. Always. And that's what came to pass. But
I think Tel actually looked quite bright when he came on.
He did. He didn't he whip in a few nice.
Well, it was his
pieces?
corner, wasn't it? Wasn't it his corner for the goal?
It was his corner, yeah.
Yeah, so it was 0-0 when he came on.
So yeah, I would like to see some academy. Why not? You could like some Mikey Moore, Ajayi, all these guys.
So the question is now, if we do win this trophy, we do lift that trophy in Bilbao on the 21st of May.
Yeah.
Have we had a better season than Arsenal?
You know
That is
what?
the question on
You know
everyone's
what?
lips right now.
You know what? Arsenal are so firmly in the mud right now. It's crazy. Because this was supposed to be their season. They're all coming, yeah, this is our year. We're gonna win the league. Oh, the league's done. This is our year. We've just battered Real Madrid. We're gonna win the Champions League. This is our year. They've been saying that literally throughout the whole course of the season and in the summer leading up to it. And what's happened now is they're not able to win a trophy now. Newcastle won the Carabao Cup. In the FA Cup, it's one of Crystal Palace or Man City. So let's assume Man City win that. So that's Newcastle, Man City. Chelsea going to win the Conference League. So they've got a trophy behind them. Tottenham or Manchester United are going to win the Europa League. Liverpool have won the title. That literally means everyone are going to win a trophy this season, apart from Arsenal.
100%.
Which is mad.
Which would be crazy.
Which
to
is
think
mad.
about
When this was Arsenal's
season.
year, but this is everyone but Arsenal's year.
Just you wait till City drop. Just you wait. We're going to be right there waiting for him. And look at them sitting there with no trophy and all their rivals are pretty much going to be a trophy in hand.
Oh my God.
They're going to be. If we win that trophy, they are so far in the mud. It's unbelievable. That'll be our fourth European trophy, and they're still on one, or they just got one Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah, Cup Winners, not even a trophy
Not
anymore.
even a trophy anymore. They are so lagging behind on the European front, man, and they won't be able to take it. They will not be able to take it.
They have no European pedigree whatsoever. Arsenal are literally a three-pin plug. They are useless in Europe. That's all they are.
And we're going to have Champions League football and a trophy behind us. And they're just going to have... They could even finish 4th or 5th this season if they lose their next 2 games.
When, by the way, yeah, everyone likes to lay into Harry Kane. Oh, he's not a big game player. He can't get over the line. Well, I know he's won the Bundesliga this year, but I'm talking about like cup finals and semi-finals when it actually comes down to it and it matters. What happened to Bukayo Saka in that second leg, by the way, against PSG? I've never seen such an open goal miss before in my life. Oh my God. At 2-1 down as well.
Yeah.
How is he not finishing that?
Apparently all these tap-ins are easy, though.
If that happened to Harry Kane, we would never hear the end of it.
100%.
Never.
100%. And that was a big moment in the game.
I'm not hearing anyone talk
bottled
about it.
Oh, I am.
Oh, you are. Maybe I've just been off social media too much.
People have definitely been mentioning it. But if we get a European trophy, you better run and hide, you Arsenal fans. If we get a European trophy, and you'll be so firm. You know what? As well, they are so like on their like high horse at the moment about being better team than us and all that kind of stuff. Which is fair enough, but. If we're like dining at the same table as them and we're sitting next to them at that Champions League table, they're looking over like, what are you doing here? We're like, we're on the Europa League, mate. What do you mean? He's like, no, you don't deserve to be. You finished 16th. You can't be at the same table as me. We're like, mate, we deserve to be here. We deserve to be here.
The best thing about it is, though, if we win the Europa League, we go into pot 1.
So we'll be in a bigger pot, higher pot than them. And we got the chance to win another European trophy next year in the Super Cup. Imagine. So we could be going 2 European trophies before they win one if we win this Europa League.
Look, if we win that Europa League, everyone just book Hungary, man. Everyone just book it, because every time that Spurs fans get ahead of themselves and start booking flights early, it just seems to come through.
We need to
manifest working for us in that
manifesting sense. It. We're just manifesting it, and it's coming to pass. We booked our Bilbao flights weeks ago, and here we are on our way to Bilbao. Absolutely no crisis averted yesterday, and it's going to be incredible if we can get that trophy over the line. What it would mean for us, and I think Arsenal fans are worried. Do you think Arsenal, surely they prefer United to win it? But I think but also I don't think they want United to win it either.
It's a lose-lose for them, because they hate both clubs, but they hate us a hell of a lot more. And it's standard for United to win trophies. It's not standard for Spurs to win trophies. Let's be real. So with Arsenal having the season that they've had, they're going to finish 4th in a 2-horse race. They got battered in a Champions League semi-final after battering Real Madrid.
It's very similar. It will be very similar to that season we finished 2nd, but they won the FA Cup. Except in this instance, we're also going to have Champions League football on top of that.
Yeah, I mean,
trophy.
Europa League is a lot bigger than an FA Cup, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I was watching a stream yesterday on True Geordie's stream, and he was saying the League Cup or FA Cup is bigger than Europa League.
What?
Yeah.
Nah, that's total garbage.
It's only because Newcastle won the League Cup. That's why he's saying it.
Total garbage. How is a League Cup where the prize is Conference League football better than a Europa
because
League.
he was
where the prize
arguing
is Champions League.
because he was arguing to win the League Cup they had to beat Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool in the final. So on that basis, it's bigger to win the League Cup than it is to win the Europa League. But it's not a European trophy. It's not this. We're playing a lot of good European teams, and a lot of good European teams. A lot of people are saying how bad the competition is in this trophy, and I understand it because the Champions League clubs haven't been knocked down. But you've still got third in the Bundesliga, or fourth. You've got fourth in La Liga, and you've got fifth in Serie A, who are level on points with fourth.
Yeah.
So you've got teams in the top four of all three major leagues in this competition competing for this trophy, right? So it's not like there's total mugs in this trophy.
On top of that, right, Ajax were in it. They're top of the Eredivisie, running away with that title this season. So even in some of the other leagues,
you got a good team, always a good team.
Porto, yeah. So I mean, you've got good teams in it. Look, don't get me wrong, it is a weaker tournament than it has been over previous years because of the Champions League dropouts, but it doesn't diminish winning it by any stretch of the imagination. It's still the same prize, and it'll be a monumental occasion if we were to win this trophy. It really would be.
But people are acting like we're playing 10th and 11th in every division. We're literally playing teams in the top four of the big five leagues, top three leagues. We're playing teams in the top four. Maybe it says the gap in quality between the Premier League and the other leagues, but still, there are teams in the top four who probably will be playing Champions League next season in this competition.
I've never heard anyone, like recently in the last 10 years, diminish the Europa League as much as it's being diminished now. Like when Chelsea won it, everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, credit to Chelsea going to win the Europa League." When Arsenal and Chelsea were in the final, there was a bit of a different narrative, a different spin because Spurs were in the Champions League final. But if Spurs weren't in that Champions League final, that would have been massive for both clubs in that moment in time. When Manchester United won it, they're all saying, "Oh yeah, what a great job by Manchester United." You know what I mean? As soon as Spurs get to this moment, everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, the Europa League shit now."
Do you think if the final was Frankfurt versus Bilbao, anyone would say anything?
No, definitely not.
There wouldn't be any conversation about who deserves what.
And like this whole narrative saying that you shouldn't get Champions League for winning the Europa League. Like the reasons I heard from it, I think it was from Wenger or it was from someone else. It was like saying, yeah, but these clubs are finishing 15th and 16th in their league. I mean, so what? Like, what does it make? Why does it matter if we're finished 15th and 16th and we're going to win the Europa League? Why is our league position being taken into account when we're going to win the Europa League? Why are the two connected?
Yeah, 100%. When Wigan won the FA Cup, did they not deserve to be in Europe?
Exactly.
Because they got relegated that year.
They
didn't deserve it. Is that
saying, yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's absolutely ludicrous. People are making, just complaining. They've got nothing to do with each other. They're different competitions, and it's always been like that. And I think why should finishing fifth entitle you to Champions League football more than a major European trophy? Why? And also, do we want to diminish the Europa League? Is that what we want? Because people didn't care about the Europa League because there wasn't that Champions League prize there. People used to rest players for the Europa League. It was a competition that was losing interest, and people weren't bothered about it. Now, people are taking it very seriously. People are putting all their eggs in this basket. Is that not what we want? Do we not want teams taking European competitions as seriously as possible? Is that not what we want? To make the competition as interesting as possible? Like, why are we trying to diminish the Europa League and trying to... Basically, we're trying to get UEFA to get teams to rest players for this competition and not care about it. Why would we want that? It's more interesting this way when there's a massive prize up for grabs.
Yeah.
So I don't understand all this spitting dummies out the pram and just because Tottenham and United in a final, all of a sudden after this rule has been in place for 11 years, 12 years, it's now being discussed. Yeah, I don't understand it.
And also, you look at it like each winner of the Europa League, right? They all finish that. I'll guarantee you. I don't know off the top of my head, but the last 10 winners of the Europa League, how many of them in that particular season finished in Europa League spot or above in their league? You know what I mean? Probably all of them. If not, maybe there was one odd occasion that they didn't. So they want the winner of the Europa League to go back into the Europa League next season when they probably would have got that from their league position anyway. This is supposed to add an extra incentive.
Exactly. And what's the point? Why have... I think having that incentive winning Europa League to jump into the Champions League is ginormous. It's massive for the competition. And it's like saying if you win the Championship, you should stay in the Championship. It's like, what nonsense is that? No, you qualify for the Premier League. It doesn't matter. I think the whole debate is complete and utter nonsense. And I can't believe Arsene Wenger, of all people, is indulging it. I understand he was the one who thought top four was a trophy. He was the original person, but still, like, he should. Maybe it's because he never won a Europa League. Maybe that's why he's bitter about it.
I think so.
But I think for me, like winning a major European trophy should trump and all these different things that people are talking about, in my opinion, because it's a massive thing for the club, for a football team, and it should be a massive achievement.
I would like to see, though, the FA Cup, maybe Carabao Cup being given Europa League prize back again, and the FA Cup given a Champions League prize again. That would reinvigorate the FA Cup. Can you imagine if the FA Cup winners got Champions League at the end of it?
What, you mean take away a place for a league
spot?
spot? So it'd be basically top 3 and maybe top 4 if it dropped down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that.
Because like the FA Cup is losing its magic a little bit now, but I think if you did that, it would add extra. Like it reinvigorated the Europa League, it will reinvigorate the FA Cup.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Anyway, that is our match review. Went on a few tangents there as well.